What's going on, everyone? You got Brandon with Premier Fitness Systems back again for a little fitness tip. I apologize, the homeless man beard here. I've got a little beard growing contest, so I'm gonna look a little crazy today, but I'm still a nice guy, I promise. So today what we're gonna talk about is developing abdominal strength. Last week, Greg talked about the key to building a strong core is developing a strong back, a strong low back. So today we're going to kind of follow through with that and talk about some tricks or some tips in building core strength, abdominal strength, strong rib six-pack. So first we'll talk about the makeup of your stomach. So think about all muscles help our bodies move. So think of your muscles as levers, right? So if you take your abdominal muscle and think about as it contracts, it's going to lever you down, right? So you always want to think about how the muscle works. So a big mistake that I see a lot of people make in the gym, at home, or even clients is their hip flexors, and more specifically their psoas, are overreactive, or they're using their hips as opposed to their abdominal muscles. So one of the mistakes that you never want to do is you never want to lock your feet under something when you're doing a crunch or a sit-up, because what that allows you to do is pull with your hips. So think of, here is, right, my abdominals are working, I'm crunching. Your hips lever up your legs. So anytime you're doing an abdominal exercise, we never want to bring in the hips. We want to try to take the hips out as much as possible. So here's an example, okay? If you're at the gym, you're at home, you're doing a sit-up, you're doing a crunch, your feet are locked under a bench, under your couch, under dumbbells. What this allows me to do is pull up with my hips, okay? So if I'm someone that hasn't worked out a lot, or maybe I work out all the time and this is what I'm gonna do, or I'm doing this all the time, I'm gonna get real tight hip flexors, okay? Because I'm probably pulling 40–50% with my hips as opposed to my abs. So basic progression out of this is just keep your feet on the ground. Think of engaging your hamstrings, pulling your hamstrings in, and then do a sit-up, okay? 3/4 sit-up, a crunch, but you want to engage your hamstrings. By engaging your hamstrings when you're doing a sit-up or a crunch, you force your body to take your hips out, okay? So it's an easy way of making yourself use your abs and not your hips. So think, engage your hamstrings, okay? So a progression of this would be to take a bench. So we've got a bench right here. I'm going to lay with my body on the ground, my feet up top, and I'm going to pull with my hamstrings, okay? So again, hamstrings, back of your leg, think of what it does, right, is knee flexion. So to engage my hamstrings, I'm pulling down. So if I'm laying here, I'm going to put my heels on the top, okay? Hands here behind my head, elbows are out. I'm going to think about engaging my hamstrings, keeping my hamstrings tight, forcing my body, forcing my hips to relax. So I'm here, and I'm just going to pull straight up, right? Inhale, exhale, use my abs, try to keep my head neutral, try to fire my abs, feel my low back compress first into the ground, and leverage up. So you should try this at home. Try locking your feet under something, okay, and doing a sit-up. And then take your feet out and feel the difference. You might not be able to even do a sit-up with your feet out. That's because your abs are weak. So the lesson of today is when you're doing a crunch, you're doing a sit-up, never lock your toes under something, never lock your feet. That allows you to pull with your hips. Take your feet out, engage your hamstrings instead. You'll get a lot more ab development, a lot more ab strength, a lot more core strength. You get that six-pack that you have always wanted.